All right, welcome back to the channel. We just finished watching UFC Fight Night in Mexico City. Pretty exciting card for the most part. Can't say that it was disappointing. It definitely wasn't anything that really stood out. We'll have to break each fight down individually, but I'm here with my son Julian. He's finally able to make it in and sit down for an event.
Hello.
So we'll start with the first fight. We're going to get to the main event just for the sake of working our way backwards from what people want us, what people care about most. So let's start with Brandon Moreno and Steve Erceg.
I thought it was a close fight. Good exchange between the two. I thought both had different strengths. Erceg seemed really classical in his style. Moreno was a bit more, I want to just say, maybe naturally talented.
Was using more of that sort of natural, instinctual kind of reaction rather than the sort of the crisp, sort of by the book movements and angles that Erceg seemed to be working. I would say Moreno was landing bigger shots
for sure. I think he had the first round for sure.
Yeah, I think round one was edged out to Moreno. We got. What did they say? Total strikes landed. You got pretty even.
Erceg was actually had more. Oh, never mind. That was a full fight. Sorry. Never mind.
No, this is round one.
No, I know. I was looking at the.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So in round one, we got Erceg. They got him with 25 total strikes of 21. Interesting. And then round two.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting because we gave Moreno the first round.
Yeah,
for
I felt like Moreno won the first round.
Could have always been just the moxie of the crowd as well.
Yeah,
backing
just
him.
the loud, the sound. But I found like Erceg was starting to find his range in the second round. Definitely felt like he was, landing those shots and finding his timing.
Yeah.
It felt to me like Erceg won the second round.
Yeah, I think he even maybe got the third round as well. Felt like he had a bit of honestly, between those rounds, it felt like a float state where he was picking up Moreno's pace, but it almost seemed like once he got to the championship rounds, he couldn't hold up.
Yeah, Moreno, he's unorthodox in a way.
Yeah.
He comes at you with really wild strikes from wild angles. There was a combo there where he threw an uppercut that followed with the big, wild overhand that seemed to catch Erceg off guard. But yeah, they seem to have round two for Erceg. I mean, it's surprising to see total strikes landed, for round one and for Erceg as well. Round three, 20-10.
Yeah.
I
mean, they were great rounds for Erceg for sure.
I know. I believe round two and three were
the fourth as well.
Well, no, but
more.
Yeah, it was round 2, 3 that I found Erceg was winning that round, and then 4 felt like it went to Moreno.
Yeah, I agree.
And 5 felt like it went to Moreno in the end for sure.
I mean, that one for sure. That one, even by the numbers on here, are there.
But to see these total strikes, landed. I mean, maybe these aren't
surprising.
Maybe these aren't very accurate. Maybe this isn't the most accurate.
I mean, this is on UFC.
Right, I know it is. I know, but to have a unanimous decision win given to Moreno when they're stating that the total strikes. But again, I mean, we can't base the win off this or base the results off this because we both collectively agreed along with however many other people.
You can say that Erceg, he had more significant strikes, but they just didn't hit the same power as Moreno's strikes.
He wasn't trying to kill.
Yeah, Erceg. Yeah, exactly. It's like we were saying mid-fight. It seemed kind of like Erceg was sparring almost with Moreno and just hitting crisp, clean, looking good, but not really showing anymore.
Yeah. There wasn't a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And that's where Moreno, at the end of the fight in round 5, he came out with a sense of urgency. He started getting wild. He started wanting to really throw down and get a fight going.
Got that takedown as well, just to show a little more control and to show how non-exhausted he was in comparison to what seemed like a bit. So
I don't think it's a bad decision by any means. I'm a little surprised that they have it so even. And
the numbers
in favor
right.
of Erceg.
Erceg was an active fighter, and he threw a lot of shots. So
again, this just could be the event did just finish, and this is the first time we're really sort of following up right after the event.
You think it could get adjusted?
It might get adjusted. Who knows? Maybe this is just like a quick, tally. Who knows? This is only our third event that we've covered on the channel. We always watch events, but to sit down and actually jump to the results live on, as they're being reported, this is the first time. So who knows? Maybe these aren't as accurate as they will be, but entertaining enough fight. Not disappointed in the fight. I think Erceg really still showed up. I don't think there's any reason to believe that Erceg is going to sort of fade away. He's definitely going to continue to be in the top rankings. What's next for Moreno? Who's next for Moreno? After
he's number 2. There's always that question of, should he get another title fight? I mean, he's had the belt twice,
and he's fought, many times for it.
Yeah.
Again, but he keeps earning the fight. He keeps earning the shots. So and he just beat Steve Erceg, and he beat him in my eyes. So. Yep. I think, again, he's one of those fighters. You're not going to be mad if they say, "Oh, he's going to get a title shot." You might think, there's other people, but he's
managed to stay up in the rankings.
He's impressing me still.
He didn't take much like Israel Adesanya took the break and took that big hiatus. Moreno took that little hiatus and he was back. So this is just him being back, I guess.
Yeah, I think Erceg, he needs to be doing a little gatekeeping for the next couple of fights. I think take a few up and comers, show that he's still, somebody who should be considered a contender in the mix.
Yep.
But let's move on to the next fight. We got, which was, an exciting fight. Obviously, everybody expected Drew Dober and Manuel Torres to be a wild, exciting fight. I had an earlier video this week where I predicted Manuel Torres to edge out the win. I just thought his striking was going to be too sharp for Dober, but I felt Dober obviously had the puncher's chance. Now, the fight didn't last very long. Do you know much about either of the fighters? I guess you haven't. I know Dober.
Yeah, I know Dober.
Yeah.
And I'm honest.
You watched Torres on Noche against Bahamendez.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I remember that fight as well. Yeah. But I know Dober as the guy who just reminds me of Top Gun. He just screams American.
He's just got that Giga Chad jaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that was an unfortunate. I was really rooting for Dober. I love Dober. I said in my past video, he's just an exciting fighter. He loves to come out and just give it his all. You don't really expect a jaw like his to go down so easily.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
You really don't expect. I honestly thought that, because he's been known to take heavy, hard shots.
Looks like he could eat a brick.
Yeah, but yeah. But Torres, I guess, just has he just generates too much force from that those long strikes.
Yeah, he was like a fencer, and he got right between the guard.
There's nothing. Granted, Dober's guard was clearly had holes in it. Dober's he's always going to be the gatekeeper. When you got 14 now 15 losses on your record, you're just not going to stand.
Just a fan favorite.
You can't, and you just can't stand toe to toe with the guys who are climbing the rankings with accurate striking. Like if you've got accurate striking, and you've only been beaten 3 times, that says something about your accurate striking. Like Dober, he's a power striker, and he understands the fundamentals. He's very similar to Michael Chandler. Work hard in the gym, work so hard that eventually your brain just kind of remembers the movements to the point where hopefully they work out for you in the gym under reflex. But Dober,
those guys,
they're
what I call
50-50 fighters.
Chandler and Dober are what I call athletes, whereas the other guys are like Torres even are martial artists.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and
that's a good way of putting it. They're athletes. Yeah,
yeah. And
it's like I always thought that George St. Pierre was an athlete, but I've rewatched some of his fights. And,
he's a martial artist.
Well, he was always a martial artist, but he wasn't necessarily that natural warrior. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a warrior spirit that some fighters have, and then there's the athlete spirit that some fighters have. And I think, like you say, Chandler and Dober have that athlete spirit where it's just that matter of like getting out there and moving and just doing it for the fun of it, And then there's the warrior spirit, which is like Alex Pereira and
Israel Adesanya, I'd say.
Israel Adesanya, and just people who have that, natural instinct and ability to kill. and be willing to put yourself in that situation to do so. But Torres, he came off a pretty bad loss with Baham Mendes, and they even talked about it in the lead up to the fight, how he wants to, hopefully get that win back or that loss back. This was definitely a good way to try to, send a message to Baham Mendes, who was in the audience, that he wants that win back or that loss back, because man, he put a pretty quick end to that. It was a dramatic, quick knockout.
Yeah, 15 unanswered shots at the end of that.
Yeah, let's talk about the stoppage. Man, that was a really unfortunate, sad looking stoppage.
I don't think it was too late. I think it was. I mean, he really tried to give him a chance because he was gripping on to his leg.
But that's because his arms were literally like laying on the ground in this position.
For sure.
He wasn't lifting. He wasn't like, he literally went to sleep like this. And I think the hammer fists to the side of the head were waking him up and knocking him out, waking him up and knocking him out. Like it was an unfortunate thing to see. And hopefully by the time I get this video out, I might be able to snap some images for the replay, but that might not be the case because I want to get this out as soon as possible. But man, if you don't get an opportunity, if you didn't see the fight, it's one. If you've got a squeamish stomach, that makes you feel sick. Like if you understand what you're looking at, like it didn't sound like you understood what quite you were looking at. But if you watch it back, I watched the replay. He's literally his arms go limp.
I get the picture of what you're saying for sure. I'm just trying to make an argument for the ref here. And saying that the ref, there's only so much you can do.
I get it. I do agree. Like from his perspective, it could be a hard thing to see because you're seeing from an angle, whereas we were down here.
For sure.
He's up there. He doesn't get to see a certain angle. So I'm not trying to rag on the ref. I'm just saying,
No, I definitely agree with
I just feel bad for Dober. Yeah. Dober, such a solid, positive guy all the time. And
those were hammers.
But then he got up and he was still thinking that the fight was going. Just unfortunate, man. That was a tough one to see. But we will move on. Let's take a look at the next fight here.
Let me get a chance to get comfortable in this chair. Doesn't want to move too much. Right.
So we got the next fight, which was Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. I'll be honest, Vergara, I've seen him fight before. Never. A lot of these fighters, I think they stay on the roster and they get these opportunities
to fill the contract,
to filler fighters. But I'll say this: Edgar Chairez, he looked good. He looked good. Yeah. He looked good. He's got good hands. He's quick.
Good on the ground.
Yeah, and that was a submission win. Was it rear naked?
He could have finished the fight on his feet, you remember, but he decided to go for that choke at the end of the round.
Right, because he did he hit him with he got him with a knee? No, I'm thinking of another fighter.
Let's see. He hit that fucking left hook, which knocked him right on the ground. It looked like he put a hole right through his face.
Right.
Just a weld.
Hold on.
Immediately.
Let me just jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So Vergara got knocked out by a solid left hook, which he obviously could have followed up with more strikes, but he
did at first when he was on the ground, but then when he saw how rocked he was, I guess he just decided
he took mercy on him.
You could say that.
Took him out with the rear naked. It was an impressive look or impressive hook and impressive win.
It's hard.
Showed some fight IQ to know that okay, let's just go for the sub. See, I appreciate that as a tool with having a good submission game. If you can rock your opponent and then sub him. Yep. I mean, that makes so much more sense to me. All these guys who go straight for the sub, I'm going to just wrestle. Like, we're going to get to the next fight, which is the Rosas fight.
Rosas Jr.
So we will move on, and hopefully we'll see more from Edgar Chairez. I'm sure CJ Vergara will be thrown into another filler fight at some point. But let's talk about
Raul
Rosas Jr. and Vince Morales. Man, you know how I feel about snorefest humper fighters. You know, I know there's a lot of guys out there who love their grappling, and I get it. I can understand. I appreciate it.
There has to be movement. There has to be movement to the ground and pound, movement to a submission. There has to be some
ground constantly being made,
ground
constantly,
made, like not just tiring the guy out and sitting on him for the whole round.
And Rosas has no shame, and fighters with no shame do not. They just ruin the sport. They ruin the sport. They make us. They bore us. They want to make us want to change the channel. And I don't know why so many of these fans out there want to defend this boring style of fighting. I mean, I get it. If the rules are in place to allow that, then sure, fine. Be a fighter that exploits it. You can't blame somebody for wanting to win a fight. But as a fight fan, why would you want to pretend and lie and say that you want to...
I'm really into the ground game.
Oh, I love it when they just lay on the guy. And you know, because I like him as a fighter and he's my favorite fighter. I don't care how he wins. If he just wants to dry hump the guy to death, then I'm all for it. Like, that's how some guys...
I just want to sniff his crotch the whole fight.
Yeah, like, but Rosas, I just... He was relentless. Mm-hmm. He was relentless. I'll give him that. But he did nothing with any of his wrestling. I mean, there was the occasions that he threw an elbow or a punch, but I mean, I was bored to death during that fight, and you could see the frustration in Morales' eyes.
I mean, he didn't look bad. I mean, by the end of the third round, he was defending everything that he was throwing down.
Yeah,
I still think that there was almost an argument you could have made for Morales winning the fight via Raul not doing anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, if the rules were different, I mean, Rosas won the fight based on the UFC rules, but you know, Morales had some heavy moments or good moments on the feet in round 2. Rosas controlled round 1.
He also was
until
the only
he was
one
reversed.
who had sub attempts.
Yeah,
2 sub.
Morales reversed the control at the end of round 1 and ended up on top and finished the round on top. But again, we finished we go to round 3 and you got my note says Rosas wins by dry humping.
Yeah, I have Rosas more Huggy Bears.
Huggy Bears, yeah, that's the other one. So what does that do for the sport, and what does that do for Rosas? Do you want to see Rosas? Do you want to watch Rosas do what he does to win fights again? I don't know.
Unfortunately, he's one of Dana's favorites at the moment.
Is he really?
Yeah, but I believe he was on his Contender Series or something along those lines. Yeah, although his hype has died, I think that everybody finds him boring. Hopefully, I'm not really sure what you guys think. But
I mean, if he can evolve his striking and start because it's not the
he's
worst.
Young as well.
It's not the worst striking, and hopefully he can. But I mean, I don't care if you're young. I'm paying big money to watch these cards, and I pay $35 or $40 a month for my subscriptions to watch these fights. I don't want to watch that. I don't want. Brendan Schaub talked about it and made a video that went viral talking about this, about how, like, you can't do this to people, Dana. You can't put these garbage fights on pay-per-view cards. Like, this is fine. This is a different event.
This is a fight night.
This is a fight night. But when you're paying $80 for these cards and you're getting female fighters fighting on the third fight of the card or the second fight of a pay-per-view, and neither of them are ranked, and you've paid $80 and that's what you're going to be getting to watch, and this kind of stuff needs to be figured out because it's bad for the sport. Simple as that. Rosas is bad for the sport. But let's move on to the next fight. So we had David Martinez, Simon Oliveira. Martinez won that one. I think that was the knee, was it not?
Yeah, I forget what he hit him with.
Oh, no, that's right. Martinez was coming in really bouncy and explosive and just big explosive movements.
Oliveira just seemed like he almost got tired and kind of gave up in the first round.
Well, it felt like perhaps he was trying to weather the storm and conserve his energy in hopes that he would have more later in the later rounds. Sure. And it didn't look like, or David Martinez didn't give him the opportunity to see those rounds because that explosiveness obviously paid off because he popped in and finished the fight quite quickly.
With some vicious head strikes on the ground, knocked his head off.
Exactly, but that's the question is, his movements really are big and bouncy and explosive. So you got to wonder how long that could last, because I did feel like it was going to eventually fade. But he pulled off the win.
He hit hard.
He hit hard, so maybe we'll see more from David Martinez. Let's move on to the next fight. We had Ronaldo Rodriguez and Kevin Borjas. Man, this was a good fight.
Yeah,
this was a good fight. I have to say, I was not rooting for Kevin Borjas initially, because he did that, step out into the middle of the octagon that some guys do to try and puff their wings, and Ronaldo handled it well. The guy seemed just a smiley, energy, happy, positive looking sounding guy, and then Kevin Borjas goes in there with that mean mug energy, which always feels contrived and fake, right? But Borjas definitely he
gave it to him.
He gave it to him. He followed up and backed up that tough bullshit with a lot of
he
tough
was good
shit. So it was an impressive win. Let's have a look at what. Borjas almost ended the fight early in round 1. Remember, he dropped him, and then he did that sort of somersault.
Yeah, he did like a cartoon backflip back to his feet.
And but he got back to his feet and made a fight out of it. But then round 2, Borjas just continued to pick him apart. Round 3, Rodriguez showed a sense of urgency, throwing reckless strikes, trying to turn it into a brawl, but Borjas didn't get baited. I was impressed with Borjas. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more from him. I don't think it's the end of Rodriguez, but
for sure. No, he seemed like to be a fan favorite in Mexico. So
for sure.
He's going to have a big career.
A really big reception. From the crowd.
His mouth guard was a grill, so it seems like he has some sort of mystique in Mexico.
He looks like he's got lip filler. We
always talk about these guys being gay. You never know.
There's a lot of gay guys on there. Okay, moving on to the next fight. We're going to go to the first fight, or it's not the first fight, the main fight on the prelims. That
was pretty crazy. It was just a tomato can versus a genetic experiment.
Right. Yeah. So we have Jose Daniel Medina versus Atebe Gautier. And this Atebe Gautier, I had not seen him before.
22, and he's built like Hercules already.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him before, but he came out...
Just walked him down with nothing but
literally looking like an action figure.
Yeah.
Like his arms were popping, and his shoulders were popping like an action figure. And Jose Daniel Medina, my notes here are pretty straightforward. It says, looked like he was paid to take a beating. And Gautier ends the fight with a straight knee up the middle. And it was a beautiful knee up the middle. But Jose Daniel Medina just continued to get punched and kicked and hit and just call for more.
Oh, that was a good one.
Give me more.
That was a good one.
Give me more. Until finally, okay, that's enough. Okay, you win. It literally looked like Medina was paid to take a beating. Like, he just went in there to be like, this guy...
He's the next one.
I'm not going to even... I'm just here to take a beating. We'll see more from Gautier, who just quickly finished that fight. There's not much more to say other than...
I was gonna say, actually, it almost is not good for Gautier to have such a tomato can, because you didn't really showcase any of your skills.
Yeah,
you just showed that this guy doesn't really deserve to be here.
It was a nice enough looking knockout, though, that he'll get a good next fight.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying his career's over. I'm just saying.
But I know what you mean.
It's
not good for the fighter himself to not get the octagon time, right?
Yeah.
Because when they're coming in and I'm pretty sure this was his UFC debut. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it might be his second fight.
Let's just double check that, because it'll have his record here.
Or it won't. Oh, never mind.
This is open. Yeah, he had this isn't because usually it'll tell you they've got more fights down here. That was his UFC debut, and like you say, when you're not getting the experience, you don't get to kind of get those jitters out, and then so if he goes into his next fight with more stakes, because it's a more high-level fighter,
especially after his finish
that might be the opportunity where he gets to feel those nerves, because he didn't get to feel them in this fight so much. So you're right, it isn't exactly the ideal circumstance. It would be probably more ideal to take it into the second or third round and get that knockout,
Yeah.
so that you can kind of gauge and feel what high level UFC competition feels like.
Well, this seemed like low level UFC competition.
Yeah. That guy was in there to take a beating. Okay, so let's move on to featherweight bout. Christian Rodriguez. How many Rodriguezes and Costas?
We'll have to tally it up through the video.
Pretty sure there was like 8 Rodriguez on the fight. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be like 3 or 2.
You're going to go watch it back and you're like, holy shit, it's 8 Rodriguez.
But so Christian Rodriguez and Melaquizel Costa. I'm not even going to try and say that name. We'll just call him Costa.
Yeah. I saw his username on Twitter was Melk, so... Let's call him Melk.
Right, because of his vitiligo. But he won that unanimous decision. I was, I'll say this. Rodriguez, basically, he looks good on the feet. Like, he's got the hands and he's got the movements. He knows what to do. But he must have been afraid to lose because he just pressed him up against the cage and took no opportunities to try and showcase any stand up. And that's where, in my opinion, his strengths lie. And it didn't seem as though Costa was going to be that much of a threat on the feet as to where you wouldn't want to try your hand at gaining or taking the win there. Trying to win the fight by being on the cage and taking it to the ground, it just didn't make any sense to me. Well, yeah, what do you think?
Unfortunately for Rodriguez, Costa came in having something to prove. Had a lot of spirit behind his fight, and
he was going in with what we were just talking about earlier about the vitiligo and the bullying and all that kind of stuff. So he had a fire in him that was obviously driving through, and Rodriguez just looked like he gave up.
Yeah,
and there were times in the fight where it just looked like he gave up. So, anyway, Miguel, let's call him Costa. He won the fight, deservedly so. It was it wasn't an exciting fight by any stretch, but good for him. Now, this is a fight that I was looking forward to. Lupi Godinez and Julia Polastri. Lupi is a local girl from Vancouver. We are Islanders just over in Victoria. And so we were rooting for Lupi, and she pulled off the win. It was a good fight.
It was a great win.
And the power bomb. Oh. What a power bomb. Lupi in round 1 caught a kick, not intentionally, accidentally sort of blocked and somehow caught a kick and just...
what a takedown! Just
she had no mercy. She had no
WWE.
mercy and just rampage Jacksoned her to the ground. Yeah. Surprised it. Thankfully she didn't hurt her because those are the kinds of things that you can like break a neck. But yeah, that was a beautiful takedown. Let's see here.
She had another good takedown during the fight as well. She just showed off how much stronger she was than this Brazilian. She had a few takedowns actually. I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, she was absolutely being the aggressor in the wrestling for sure. Polastri didn't really have any other answers other than
it almost seemed like she was getting ragdolled for most of the fight. I mean, there was a few times it was like Lupi was a pit bull. It almost seemed like Lupi was a pit bull, just dragging her to the ground no matter what happened. As soon as she grabbed a hold of her, it was like she was in the clutches of a dog.
Yeah, she was a pit bull, but she was snapping Julia Palastri's head back with jabs and shots throughout the earlier rounds. But Palastri turned it into a fight. She just seemed to be walking
by the end of the fight. Yeah, she was Terminator eating the damage,
walking
for
through
sure.
shots, and then she got so much confidence. And I guess maybe she just realized Lupi couldn't knock her out.
Yep.
And she pushed forward and kept pressing through those shots and landing her own pretty heavy. The right just kept coming over the top and over the top, and Lupi really wasn't. I think maybe her energy was so depleted that she just couldn't get out of the way anymore.
Yeah, by the end of the 5th round, Palastri started walking Lupi down, but it was too little too late.
She just couldn't get out of the way, and thank God that for Lupi, the fight wasn't 5-rounder, because if, it went 5 rounds, it would be... Not to say Lupi wouldn't have figured out the answers, but it was looking like the momentum was shifting. So I'm happy to see Lupi pull out the win because, hometown girl, and granted she's Mexican, but she's been in Vancouver for a long, long time.
We're all immigrants in Canada anyway.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next fight. We have Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel. How did that one go again? Oh yeah, this was.
Pichel looked like an old school fighter. Just old man back at it in the ring, and it seemed like the new guy just had a little more strength involved. And
Garcia was putting more pressure on in the first round. Finished strong with a takedown in the first round. Pichel landed front kicks in the second. Close round. Pichel edged it out. In my opinion, got the second round, and then Garcia won a back and forth round with a solid takedown at the end in round 3, securing the win in a relatively close fight. Nothing, to write home about.
Yeah, again, Pichel, he didn't look bad by any means. It was just, again, like I said, old man back at work.
Pretty much. Pretty much. 42 years old, still competing. Good for him. He didn't look bad. He didn't look terrible.
He's a guard.
He looked like a boxer from the 20s. But yeah, that was pretty much it. We didn't, unfortunately, get to see the first 2 early prelim card or fights because we didn't get home in time, but you got Jamal Emmers with a win via TKO.
No Mexicans in that fight anyways, who cares?
Right. And then Austin Hubbard is a bit of a fan favorite, and Markel Maderos, I've seen him fight too. He won via split decision. I'll probably go and watch those fights back later later tonight. But that pretty much about wraps it up for UFC Fight Night Mexico City. There's another event next weekend. I'm not even sure who's fighting.
I don't even remember who's fighting on that one either.
But then we got April 12th, the big.
I'm more focused on that.
314. Pretty excited about that. I think Volk can do it. Lopez obviously can too, but
we're rooting for the opposite guy this time, so this will be a fun discussion on that.
We'll see as it leads up if Volk doesn't win you back. I think you're gonna watch. Volk is gonna put some skit together that's gonna win all his fans.
As I've said before, and this is again, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be saying this because I'm such a big Moreno fan, but I think it's time for new blood. And you said this before as well, and it's the same thing with Ilia Toporia's new blood, new generation. I think Lopez is that new generation, next generation fighter. We see a new guy with the belt, and Volk's had the belt a few times. Not to say he doesn't deserve it. But I'm rooting for Lopez to push the generation of fighting forward.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I'm a big Lopez fan myself. I just don't want to believe that Volkanovski is done.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close fight. I honestly think Volk will get knocked out, but I think that's how Lopez wins the fight. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I think Lopez will either catch him and then sub him, or directly knock him out. I think Volk's likely path to victory is a decision win by outpointing him, by getting in and out, and changing angles, cutting angles.
Could do a takedown. Never know.
Chances are he's not going to want to take the fight to the ground with a Brazilian. Well, Lopez has got some pretty slick submissions. Yep. And it wouldn't. It's not the best place for Volk to try and win that fight. I think Volk wins the fight again, like I say, using his what was his advance. Sorry, what was his when somebody is good at something.
Advantage.
His striking and speed was his advantage in the past. I think if he can bring that guy back into contention, then he can absolutely use that speed against Lopez. Now, if he's lost a step, it's going to be a short fight, in my opinion. If Volk has lost a step, I think he's unfortunately going to be.
I think he'll get clipped, and I think that's how it's going to go. Is he'll get clipped, second, third round, and
I think it's second or first or second for me. I don't think it's going to.
Think he's going to make it to third if he were to get knocked out. I think he could.
Because Lopez can gas, and Lopez has gassed in fights to where he and that's where Volk excels.
Yep,
Volk excels. That's where he started to win against Makachev as well, right?
Yep.
And he ended the fight on top. So, but let's not drag this video on too much longer.
I want to talk about how I just want to see Michael Chandler get shit kicked out of him.
We're gonna be doing a predictions and breakdown of our opinions on those fights leading closer to the event. But yeah, I've also got to start talking more about Death Stranding. I tell you, what a slog of a game. I'm trying to push through it.
Seems too artsy for me. I don't think I can.
We'll
get into
see.
It, but
I'm 12 hours in. I'm going to give it a few more. I don't think you should have to give 15 to 20 hours.
and you're still.
But no, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm enjoying it. There's moments where I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Ooh, that's intriguing. Oh, what's going on there? Ooh, I want to know more there.
But that just sounds like that just sounds like you're teasing yourself the whole time.
I'll say this.
Oh, maybe it'll get better.
I'll say this. This is why I want you to so desperately to play Days Gone. Is for me, that was not the case with Days Gone. Every time I turned on the computer, even when I was tired, if I was too there were times where I didn't want to play because I was just tired. And I thought, no, I gotta try and get through this game, and I would reluctantly go turn on the computer, sit down, and then as soon as I started to move and control the character and drive the bike and hear the surround sound and the ambiance, I just was glad to be there and ready to play another 3 or 4 hours. It's just so. That's my take on Death Stranding right now. We'll see if I actually get to a review, but I'm wanting him to finish Days Gone so we can do a joint review. He's taking his sweet time not getting to the game, so I might put together a review of Days Gone solo, but we'll see. But that's about it. I want to wrap it up. Please hit like and subscribe, and we will be back again next weekend or later on this week.
All right.